Hello everyone, my name is Squidhead and welcome to my complete guide on how to use iMovie on your iMac. So iMovie is a really great program to get started with video editing because of its built-in features and effects, and pretty much everything is there for you. So you have to do minimal work. So it's just overall a really great tool if you need to do some quick edits or you have never gotten into video editing before. So to start out, of course, I am just going to open up iMovie. So when iMovie opens up, you'll be met with this screen. And we see that there's pretty much nothing here except a button that says Create New, so we can click that. Now because we're going to be doing editing, then you simply click on Movie, and this is how we can edit. So this is the blank iMovie screen, and there's not much here, so we have to start importing our media. Now, media can include pretty much anything you can think of, from videos to pictures to sound to music, everything that you would want to make in your video. So I have prepared this folder with some example media that we're going to use in this project. To import your video, all you have to do is pull up the window or the folder that has your media, and then simply click and drag it into this bottom part here. Now this bottom part where you can sort of scrub through the video, this is called the timeline, which is where you'll actually do all of the assembling of different parts of the video. So you can see I'm not clicking, I'm just moving my mouse side to side, I can scrub through the video at a high speed. And then if I want to play the video, I just simply press the space bar and you'll see that the video starts playing. So as I mentioned, this is the timeline area, and up here this is our preview window where we see what the final product will look like. And then in here this is our media window, so there will be a bunch of all the media that you import. You can see here. If you want to see the media that's in this current project, just make sure that this part here under project media is selected, and you'll see that's the video I imported. All the other media that I import will appear in this area as well. So let's say I wanted to add some music to this video here. If I already had music that I wanted to use, I could simply pull up my folder again and choose my music. In this case it's a .wav, but it will work with MP3s as well. This is my song Helicopter that you can find on my SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/squidhead. So if I want to import it, it's the same thing. I just drag and drop. Except you want to make sure that you are dragging it underneath the video, and you just release when it's where you want. So now we have the audio in the video, and if I click space, then we will hear that audio playing along with video. So let's say that you wanted to cut out the beginning of the song and just skip straight to the beat drop. So all I would have to do, there's really two main ways to do it, and it depends. If there's just a little bit of the beginning that you want to cut out, then you will bring your mouse cursor to the very left or right hand side of the clip, and you'll see that my mouse cursor changes to this sort of icon. Now I can click and drag it and let go, and then it'll cut off that beginning. But if there's quite a big chunk that you want to cut off, then what you want to do is basically where your mouse is and that line that follows your mouse, that's called your playhead. So what you want to do is click on the location where you want to make the cut. So that would be right here. So the playhead is there, and I click cut. Now what you want to do is make sure that the audio or whatever you want to cut is selected, and then right click and say split clip. This basically turns it into two separate objects that we can independently move around in the video. In fact, we can even layer them like this. But if I don't want this, I simply select it and press the backspace key. And now we have this. So when I begin at the start of the video, it's right where I want it. But let's say that you didn't have your own music that you wanted to import. The good thing about iMovie is it contains an entire library of sound effects and songs that are free to use in your videos. So to access this library, all you have to do is go up into this media window and click on audio at the top. So you'll see that it's on music, and it has the music that's in my project. Now, what you want to do is click on the sound effects on the left-hand side and give it a second to load, because there's quite a bit of sound effects, and they will take a while. So you'll see this huge library of all sorts of different sound effects will load up. There's absolutely tons, and it will pretty much cover for every situation. And at the top, you can click, and you have all the different categories as well. So if I wanted to look for the music that's built into iMovie, I click on Effects, and then I would click on this Jingles folder. And then I have all of these jingles, which are basically short songs. And the cool thing is, majority of iMovie's jingles are actually split up into 3 variations: long, medium, and short. So for example, if I play 44th Street Long, this is a 40-second music clip. But let's say that's too long for me and I want to create a video intro. Is medium good? 20 seconds is a bit too long, but then we go down to 44th Street, short. And then it's a really short version. So it's the same as if I was importing media. When I find the one that I like, all I have to do is click and drag that into the timeline and drag it below the video, and now it's here. Now, the splitting and trimming techniques that I discussed earlier with the music, it can also be applied with video and pictures. So if I wanted to cut off this section, I could just click and drag, or I could select my playhead, right click, and say split clip, and then delete this clip. So let's import the next piece of media that we have. I'm going to import this photo. So now that the photo is imported, you'll see that automatically it aligns, and if I hit play, you'll see that it automatically has applied the effect of a subtle zoom in over time. Now, this could be good for a simple slideshow, but if I was doing something where I didn't actually want that to happen, what I would do is go up onto this section, and here you have all the media controls. So if I wanted to turn off this zoom in effect, which they call Ken's Burns, what I would have to do is click on this little crop icon, and you'll see that Ken Burns is selected. So we have a lot of different options here. Ken Burns, which you select a start and end position, and it will basically transition. So you see it's set to start here, and if I set the end to say here, then you would see that it would zoom into that location. So let's go back into here. That would be Ken Burns. Now I could also do crop to fill, and basically what this is you could just select a cropped area that you want the photo to show without any animation, so just a simple crop effect. So if I play that, it's just a static image. And then the third option is fit, which applies no cropping effects at all, it's simply just the image. Now you can see that there is lots of other media controls at the top here. Let's start out on the far left. This is our color balance setting. So there's a bunch of different preset options here. We can click auto, and it just automatically will improve the colors. Match color, which is if you wanted to select a frame that you wanted to match the color of, you would just find one in this timeline, and let's say I wanted this, we'd click, and you'll see that it updates that to be with those colors. But I don't want that. So then we can have this, which is the color correction, which is the more manual color correcting mode. So this is where we have like the highlights and shadows options. So if I wanted to make the highlights brighter and the shadows darker, you can change all those effects there, as well as everything in between. You can also change the color saturation to make it black and white if you wanted, or maximum colors. And you can adjust the hue as well to more of a blue or more of a yellow hue. We already discussed the cropping options, and then these 4 options are only available for video files. Then we have filters. So for a clip filter, I could click this, and this pop-up window will come up with all the different options, and you see there's quite a bit. So all these different options here are just sort of different styles that you could apply to the video, and a lot of them could be different for different situations that you could have, but I will just apply the noir filter for this example. Now we can go to the info, and this is just basically the file name, and you can set the duration as well. Again, you can also click and drag the duration manually, but if you wanted it to be a very specific duration, like for example 4.2 seconds, then that's what you'd want. As I mentioned earlier, there's a few controls that are only available to videos, so let's go over to the video and look at those controls. So this is the stabilization filter. So if I had some handheld camera footage that was shaky, I could simply click stabilize shaky video and turn up the stabilization up and down. It's going to analyze the footage, but it might not find a lot because this is not handheld footage, so there's really nothing to stabilize here. And I would not apply any sort of stabilization unless it does need to be stabilized, otherwise it can cause some weird motion and some artifacts. Like if I play this, it really didn't change all that much, but that's because there's nothing to stabilize. So these two are still blurred out, and that's because those are for audio, and we'll get to that in a second. But the other option we have here is this, which is our speed, and so we can speed up and slow down the video as well as reverse it. So if I wanted to reverse the video, you can't really tell in this example, but it is playing in reverse. I could also speed it up. There's some simple presets such as slow and fast, and freeze frame, which just freezes a single frame of the video. But I always tend to use custom, which is where you set a custom amount. So if I wanted to speed it up, you would enter in a percentage value above 100. So if I wanted it to be 2 times the speed, I would enter in 200%. And if I wanted it to be half the speed, I would put in 50%. So let's just put in 200%. You see the duration becomes smaller because it is indeed sped up. And it is moving faster now. So now let's go into the audio and look at those other effects that we couldn't look at before. So now we can change, for example, the volume, which we can adjust it manually in any value between 0 and 400%. Although if you add it all the way up to 400%, there is some distortion. So you may not want to do that. So let's say I wanted to record a voiceover for this video. iMovie has a built-in voiceover recording feature, which is really handy. So all you have to do is click on this little microphone button, and it comes up with some controls. Now, I actually don't have a microphone currently plugged into this computer, so I'll be right back. I'm just going to grab a microphone to use. Okay, so I grabbed a simple USB microphone that I had lying around. And now to change to the correct microphone, I can click on these 2 sliders and change my input source to the USB audio device, which is my microphone. And you may get this pop-up, just click OK. It's basically just giving iMovie permission to use your microphone. You have some other options here as well. For example, there's the option to mute your project, and basically what this means is while recording, it is going to mute the video as it plays back to you. And this can be helpful if you're not using headphones, so that it doesn't create feedback from coming out of your speakers. But in my case, I'm using some headphones, so it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to uncheck this so that I can hear the music as I'm recording. But that's completely up to you. And so I have my microphone here, and all I'm going to do is click record. And it's going to give you a nice countdown. This is the voiceover for my video. and you just click space to stop it. So now if we play the video, you can see I have my music.
This is the voiceover for my video.
And that. So the cool thing about iMovie is it automatically detects that, okay, this is a voiceover clip, so we should apply some ducking. And basically, in the editing world, ducking means that this audio clip is going to take importance over any audio clips. So when there is a certain amount of volume in the waveform, it will actually lower other clips. So if you hear when I start talking, the music gets slightly quieter.
This is the voiceover for my video.
It's a very subtle effect, but it's really good for voiceovers. If I go into the audio settings here, you see that lower the volume of other clips is selected, and that's what iMovie calls ducking. So you can change the amount of the effect here. So if I wanted to adjust it to a very high amount, then you see the music completely cuts out when I start talking.
This is the voiceover for my video.
But of course, that's probably not the effect you want, so you can adjust it to your liking. So iMovie also has a set of features that you can use to enhance the audio as well. You just click on this noise reduction equalizer, and because it's a voiceover, it has automatically applied the voice enhance equalizer, but you can really select whatever you want and see which one sounds best. There's also a reduce background noise setting, so if you're in an area that has lots of background noise, you might want to enable or disable that. Although it's not something I necessarily recommend because it tends to lower the quality of your recording, and I would just recommend spending the extra time to properly set up a good recording environment, but that's another video in itself. iMovie also has a set of fun effects and filters for your voice. So if I were to click on the filter button, just like I did with the photo, you can see the audio effect, and I can just click it, and it brings up a little window just like it did with the photo. So I can just hover my mouse over it to hear how the effect would sound on my audio clip.
This is the voiceover for my video. This is the voiceover for my video.
This is the voiceover for my video.
And most of these aren't really that much useful in professional situations, but they can be pretty fun to play around with if you're making sort of a funny video. This also includes reverb and delay effects such as small room, medium room, large room, and cathedral, and this is what those sound like.
This is the voiceover for my video. This is the voiceover for my video. This is the voiceover for my video. This is the voiceover for my video.
So those can be good if you're editing a movie and you want it to make it sound like that the main character is in some sort of a large room or a church or something like that. They also have some pitch effects that you can apply, and all these effects can be applied to any audio clip. So if I wanted to apply this to the music, I could as well.
For my video.
This is the voiceover for my video.
Hey, it's me 2 years ago. Hey, it's a demon. So there's all those effects that you can play around with. Now, let's say that you wanted to create a transition between one clip and another. So I have my stock video here, and I wanted to transition into this photo. So iMovie has a wide range of different transitions, so we can go back to the media window and go to transitions. These are the different preset ones, and you can simply click on them and you can pan through to see what the different transitions would look like. Most of their names are fairly self-explanatory though. I personally really like the cross zoom effect, so let's just drag that, and we need to put it in between those two clips like that. And then if I play, you'll see it makes a smooth transition effect. Now you can also add something like this to the beginning of the video as well. So if I wanted to add the ripple effect before my first clip, I can do that. And then you'll see that it transitions into the first clip. So that's transitions, and it can be a really useful tool. Now let's talk about titles. So iMovie has a really good set of titles that you can pretty much use for most basic video editing functions. You can see all these presets have different names, and they all have different animations and effects applied to them. This one's really cool. It's called Far, Far Away, and it basically replicates the old Star Wars introduction text. So if I play it, you'll see it does that. So to edit it, I simply double click on the clip down here, and you'll see it brings up the editing. So if I wanted to type Squidud, I could do that. And I can simply pan through the text by clicking the up and down keys on my keyboard, going down line by line. And of course, I could change all this text if I wanted to. There is absolutely tons of different titles, like Boogie Lights is another interesting looking one. So you can, put these titles as independent clips, but the cool thing about it is you can actually drag these above pre-existing video or photo clips. And basically what that will do is it will have the title play over top of whatever's underneath it. So you can see that my title appears on top of the actual image that's there. Okay, so I'm going to import the next piece of media. So I'm just going to import this channel art. This is my current channel art. So I'm just going to import into the project. So again, it's going to do the automatic zoom or Ken burns, but I'm actually going to turn that off because I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I want this picture of my channel art to appear over top of this stock photo or this stock video. So I'm going to drag this on top just like I did with the title, and I'm just going to drag it to cover the complete duration of the video clip. But when you click play,
This is the voiceover for my video.
You'll see you can only see the channel art, and that's because it's on top of this stock video, and that's all you can see. But since this clip is on top of another clip, you'll see an additional option appear right here. So this is the video overlay settings. Now, this is a fairly simple menu. You see fade, opacity, and this says cutaway, but that's actually the effect that you're going to apply. So opacity is the level of transparency. So when it's at full, it's 100% visible. When it's at 0, it's 0% visible. The fade sort of takes the background here. It just sort of fades the two clips together, and it's not really useful most of the time. So cutaway basically just means that this is on top of the video all the time, but there's a couple more options. You see blue/green screen, and we'll get into that later, split screen, and picture-in-picture. So let's start with split screen. Now this will show the center of both clips side by side, and this can be really useful. So since I have my channel art selected, this is what we're editing the controls for, and you can see I can select left, right, top, bottom. So maybe I want this on the top, and you see my channel art is there and the video is there. So this slide control actually changes if you want this to be animated in. So when it's left at 0, it will just be straight on top. But if I change it to, say, let's just type in a value 1 second, that means there'll be a 1 second transition at the beginning where
This is the voiceover for my video.
and you saw that it sort of slid down. And the same effect is applied to the end of the clip as well. But in this case, I don't want to do a split screen. I want it to be picture-in-picture because I basically want this image to be over top of the other image. And you can see I can now manipulate the image, drag it around, and these 4 corner bits I can actually click and drag to resize. Basically now I can move this around however I want. And just like the split screen, this is your transition control, so you can have dissolve, zoom, or swap. I'm going to use zoom and set it to 1 second for that transition. You can also have different borders, which are none. You can have a thin line, a thick line, and you can also select the border color. You can also apply a shadow, and I'm going to apply a shadow there. So you can see it's a very small drop shadow. So let's watch the video.
This is the voiceover for my video.
And you see it comes up there. So this can be useful if you're, for example, doing a product review video and you wanted to show an image of, let's say, the Amazon page. You can have it just sort of animate into the frame like that. So I'm going to grab my next piece of media that I said I was going to talk about, and I said I was going to talk about green screen. So we have this stock video of a certain illness. And so now that that's in, this is a green screen clip, as you can see. So when you drag it in, nothing automatic happens. It's just the clip. So I'm actually going to delete this because what you should do is you should first drag in what you want to be the background. So I'm going to drag in this road stock photo. Oh, whoops, I accidentally opened it in preview. Let me just quit that. And again, it'll start doing the Ken Burns, and I'm going to disable that. So now we have what I want to be the background in the video. So next, I'm going to drag my green screen footage, and I'm going to drag it in on top of that background. So since this is the video and I want the full duration of the video, I'm going to drag this image to make up the full duration of the video clip. And keep in mind, when you're doing this, you can have the background be a video as well. It doesn't have to be a photo. So now I'm going to select the actual green screen footage and go into the video overlay settings as we did earlier. And from the drop down menu, I'm going to select green and blue screen. So you can see it will automatically detect what color your green screen is, and it will key that out. So something that I find really cool is, let's say, for example, you were filming a video of yourself on the green screen, but let's say here and here, your green screen actually stopped and you could see the background of your room. You can actually click and drag these points to define the edges of the green screen video. So if nothing past this, you can just crop the video like this, and it will basically just pretend like that's the background. So it's useful when you have a green screen that doesn't take up the full frame of your video. Now you can also see that along these edges there's a little bit of evidence of keying, these gray outlines, and we can partially fix this with this softness control. By turning it up and down, you can see that the softness value increases and decreases. And it's not very visible on this particular video. It would mostly be useful in something like a video of a person, but it does make a difference. Again, this green screen technology that's in iMovie isn't the best, and if you're really going to be doing some complex green screen software, I'd recommend a more professional software, but of course this will definitely work if you have a well-lit green screen. On the cleanup tools, you can also select the eraser option. So if, for example, there was like a big stain on your green screen, you could just erase it and then it would disappear. So now if I play the video, we can see that the green screen footage is on top of my other footage there. Now, of course, you can use your own backgrounds, but iMovie has this set of backgrounds that you can use for green screening, for background of text, or just an asset in your video. It doesn't really matter. So they have all these cool gradients, and some of these are animated, like the underwater one, the blobs one, the curtain one, and some of them are just static, like these colored ones. We also have these maps, which are really cool. So if I drag in the blue marble globe, it actually can do some really cool things. So if I, say, for example, wanted to start in New York, I would just type in New York. And let's say Brooklyn. So now I click done, and my first location is set to Brooklyn. But then I can choose a second location, like let's say, for example, Orlando, Florida. So now it will actually draw a line from my first location to my second location in the video. So this is really cool if in your video you're drawing some sort of graphic of a map, a travel route, or any kind of thing like that. And again, just like anything, I can add in transitions and text as well. So then if I play the video, you can see it's simple like that. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot more than just songs in here. So if I go back and select effects, I can add some sort of sound effect here. So again, to add this effect, I would just click and drag into my video. And then you can see it's added there. I have my 2 clips layered there. But let's say I wanted to add my profile picture on top of that. You actually cannot, because the maximum amount of layered media you can have is 2. So I would have to add that somewhere else. But what you can do is add in another title on top of that. Pretty much the maximum you could have is 2 visual media and a title. But you can also add lots of audio clips layered as well. So I could have this sound effect here, this sound effect here. Let me just trim that. This sound effect here. You can really layer tons of audio. They all played. So I'm just going to trim this audio real quick. What I always like to do in my videos is wrap it up with an ending transition. So if I go into transitions, I usually like the fade to black one. So if I drag it to the end of my video, it will end the video with a nice fade to black screen. And that just seems like a good way to end it up. You can also add fades to audio. So let's say, for example, we wanted to take my song and drag it in. So I'm just going to drag it here, and then I'm going to split it right here. So if I say split clip, and then delete this portion. But let's say I don't want it to end abruptly like this. I want it to actually fade it out. So what you can do is when you hover over an audio clip, you can see there are these 2 little circles on the beginning and end. So when you see those, you can simply click and drag them, and you see that sort of happens. And you can do it at the beginning and end, and it will basically make a fade in and a fade out. So that's basically it for editing, and now we can go to export your video. So if you wanted to export this video, all you would have to do is go to File, Share, and now you have some options here. You probably wouldn't want to go to an image because that's just exporting an image. You may want to do an email, which will basically export it in an emailable format. And you can also do YouTube and Facebook, which will upload it directly to YouTube and or Facebook. But in most situations, you're probably going to be exporting as a file, so I'm just going to do that here. You click File, and then you get to change some settings about it. I can change the name, so let's just call it Example Video. And you can change the description as well, which really isn't that important, but if you go into properties on a video, then you'll be able to see that. So this is an example. You can change tags as well, but this is mostly for file organization inside of macOS. So with format, you're almost always going to want to select video and audio, but I guess if you just want to export the audio, you can do that as well. And then you'll see resolution, which you get some options here. 1080p is going to be full HD, so that's going to be really crisp, clear video. 720p is also HD, but it's not going to be as clear. And then 540p is less than HD. So I think most of the time you're going to want to do 1080p. And then you can choose your quality. High should work best. And then compression, so that you should probably set to faster again. Because YouTube will do some compression anyway. So then we click Next. And you'll get a pop-up to choose where you want the video to be saved. So I'm just going to select on my desktop and click Save. Now you'll see that nothing happens, and you may think that your video is exported and you want to quit the program, but don't do that quite yet. Basically, you'll see this circle here, and you can click on it to see the progress of your export. and you see that it's filling up the circle. And depending on how long or how high quality you set your video to, this can take several amounts of time. But we can see that my video here is almost done. And now it's done. So when that circle disappears, you'll see this pop-up message here, and it's now safe to quit iMovie. So now we see that my video is right here, and we can double click to give it a watch.
This is the voiceover for my video.
And of course you can watch a video as you would. So now this is a video file that you can send to other people, upload to your Google Drive, upload to YouTube, or do whatever you want to with it. And so yeah, that's basically it on how to use iMovie. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below, and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as I can, because I'm sure there's something I missed, and if you want to know how to do something, let me know as well. Other than that, if this video helped you out, then definitely leave a like, and if you so desire, subscribe as well so that you get notified whenever I upload a video, and so that you can support me. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace out.